Hello everybody and welcome to the FMSCOUT YouTube channel. I am the Cult of FM, otherwise known as Jack, and today we're going to look at FM22, our first look at FM22, and just see, first of all, the match engine, see the match engine's playing. We're going to have a lot of videos for you coming out over the next few days about pretty much every aspect of FM22, but today in the first one we're just going to look at the match engine and just see how, if it's playing differently, how it's playing differently, if it's the same, what are the similarities, and generally just a bunch of different things that we notice from it. We're going to look at a couple of games that I've already played with City using the pep tactic that I created last year, pretty much exactly the same. And then after that, what we're going to do is we're going to go through a game together live in real time just to see what we notice. The first thing we're going to notice here against Leicester is the possession is 60-40 is one thing, but the passes completed. Now, most of you that played or attempted to play possession football last year would have noticed that your passes completed were way down on real life numbers, right? So you can see here just from our first game, that's not bad at all. Like 694 passes completed out of 756, that's pretty good, and that's pretty high when comparing it to last year's match engine. So that's already going to show you that things are a little bit different this year, especially when trying to play a approach similar to the one that I developed here, trying to recreate things that Pep's done in real life with Manchester City. And don't forget, if you do like what you see in this video, to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Okay, and let's get straight into our first game against Leicester. It was the Community Shield. I played the game as if I was going to play it like a save, like I bought some players in, so some of you are going to notice it's not exactly the Manchester City squad. I just wanted to buy players that I thought would be, one, good, and two, would fit into what I wanted to do. So you're going to see some random names pop in here and there, and there are a few players that are still away on international duty or not back yet from international duty, so they missed the Community Shield here, as we're going to see in a second. Okay, so we're underway here. We're going to watch it on extended. One thing to notice, there are a few different animations that make it play quite differently to what it did last year. In particular, when players receive the ball and they change direction, they're going forwards with the ball. It's hard to explain. They go forwards with the ball and they like check their run and they come back a different direction. It's a lot more realistic. I know there's definitely an animation where it comes out in a second. It's not quite that one there. Good stuff from Erling Haaland there. So you can see early thoughts. It looks similar, I guess, graphically, depending on your machine there. It doesn't look too different in terms of last year, I think, depending on whether you play on high quality, medium or low. For a lot of people watching this, people don't care. People know it's not going to be FIFA. They don't really care about it looking too amazing, although what's always preferred. It's about how is it playing, and is it replicating what you would want to see in real life, or at least what you would remotely see from a team in real life when you're asking them to do things such as holding the width for wingers and half-space runs for midfielders, which we're going to look at in a second. There's definitely some positives to the match engine early on from my perspective, but like always, they do tend to release a beta match engine and then it changes quite a lot going into the full release, so there's always that to look out for. Generally, the good news is the wingers do hold the width a lot better, at least so far. If you replicate almost exactly the same tactics I had last year, the wingers do hold the width a lot better, especially in the build-up. The difficulty is getting them to hold the width on like the last defenders. We score our first goal and our only goal. So they stay wide, but they don't stay on the back line very well on support duties. With the current setup that I've got, obviously, I've not had the time to go through and try every possible combination of roles and duties, but that was something that I did pick out early on. They did seem to hold the width a little better. In an early look in this game, I didn't really notice the stamina being too much of an issue, which I think was reported before. What was noticeable though, if you have maximum pressing settings on, is your fullbacks go and press 1v1 quite easily, like this kind of scenario here, or something like that, but maybe not when it's after a set piece or a shot. But when you go out and press the winger 1v1, you do leave them almost like on an island, like completely on their own. And when that happens, I can see quite easily you're going to get beat by like top level wingers such as Mane, Sterling, Salah. Those kind of players I can absolutely destroy you, I think, if you're not a top team with top fullbacks. You can see that early on. On the contrary as well, if you've got wingers that are very good at dribbling, if you can get them 1v1, I think with this current match engine, the way it's currently set up, I think you're going to get a lot of success from that. Because the way that the pressing works, it punishes you a little more now if you're maximum pressing and having no concept of delay, which obviously you would expect to get punished from that time to time in real life. If you do just send your fullbacks to go and press and they don't, they're on the maximum settings and they're quite aggressive in it, they are going to get punished by good wingers, I would think, because we got punished by Mark Albrighton, who is not, I would suggest, a very top level winger, especially when it comes to taking players on and beating players 1v1. He destroyed us a few times in this game, but we went to press him and he just went round the player completely. And if Mark Albrighton's doing that, I'm pretty sure Salah and Mane and the rest of them are going to do it as well. So at the end of this clip here, you're going to see exactly what I mean. Now, this isn't Mark Albrighton, this is Harvey Barnes. You can see the ball go wide to him over here, and you can just see with the maximum settings on for the press, you just see how the fullback goes 1v1 completely with him with no cover. and no concept of delay, and when he gets destroyed, I can see if that's a top level winger, we're probably going to get destroyed at some point. Yeah, that was a good example of it early on there in the game against Leicester. In this clip, it is going to be for the opposition, but you notice it a lot with your own team as well. Players, when playing like a possession type based style, don't force it as much as they used to, especially in terms of passing. So you can see Leicester here. This is a Leicester clip, but it really is the same for us. Multiple clips as well. Just see how like they don't really force it at any point, and they retain the ball, they keep it. I feel like the match engine is built to develop this a lot better with your playing style. I think in the last one, eventually they would just try a risky pass, especially if you're on positive mentality, trying to do possession football. If you're playing less mentality, you probably could get away with it, but you can see the breakthrough. It would have been a great goal if they'd have finished it, but Jamie Vardy tries the chip and doesn't. This happened a few times for us as well. Like the tactic rather, is a lot better at retaining the ball before it then plays an aggressive pass, which I think is a really positive thing for the match engine going into this year, and let's hope it stays the same. Okay, so Mbappe in a second here for City is going to do this animation I was referring to earlier, when he gets the ball back off of the centre-back, I think it is. So he gets the ball here in a second, here it comes here, and it's just the way, see that little movement he makes where it's almost like now their knees actually bend when they move. You know, it's like he was able to shift his body weight and then move back. And that is definitely something they've added to the mechanics as he runs the ball out of play. But yeah, that's definitely, he's clapping somebody behind him. Yeah, that's definitely something they've added, and it makes it look a lot better, a lot more realistic with the movements. And it makes it, I don't know, it seems to have had an effect on strikers when they're like going away from the rest of the team on their own. They're able to now like check back and then link back up with the rest of the team. Like it's going to a number 9, he's going through the towards the opposition goal. Doesn't have the pace to get away from the defenders, so he likes to maybe check back and then play it back. It just makes it look a lot more realistic. It makes it feel like they do it more often, but it could just be a bit of a placebo thing. But I do think they seem to do it a lot more. As you can see here, look at us. We're not forcing anything on positive here. We're just retaining the ball. With this tactic last year, by now somebody would have just pinged this forwards by this point easily. Normally with the defenders, this would be sent. But Ruben Diaz is not going to send it. He's going to play it to Mbappe, who's holding his width really well. Good half space run over here as well. As you can see, he's in a good half space. Can we get the little pattern going? No, we can't now. We've got an overload on this side. Mbappe is going to give it away. But you can just see how it's playing slightly differently. Those of you that saw the Pep tactic last year, you can just see the slight differences with the match engine early on. And that was pretty much it, to be honest, for the highlights of this game. I think what we'll do now is I'll go through a couple of clips from the first Premier League game we actually played, because there was a couple of goals in that one, and show you just some other stuff from that, and then we'll watch the game through together. So I'll see you in a second. Here we are then. Early on in this game, you're going to see Bernardo Silva right here when he gets the ball back do a different sort of animation where he just sort of like, you can see where he shifts his body weight and goes back a different direction. Again, just seeing that animation come up again, although it looks slightly different there. Just something they've added that does make it look a lot better as Erling Haaland gives away the ball. Just because we've had a red card, I thought I'd show you red card animation here. They do try and have 2 goes at Erling Haaland, as you'll see. There's the first go there, have one of those, and then they say, oh, that wasn't good enough, let's get him a second time. And they go for the second one and send Erling Haaland flying through the air for a red card. Here in this sort of pattern here, you're going to see the wingers hold the width really well, especially on the right-hand side, but not very high. These are inverted wingers on support, by the way. So you can see on the right-hand side here, you'll see Mbappe holding the width. There he is right there. So he's really wide, but he's nowhere near the back line. As we get the half-space run, though, you did see the half-space run, didn't you, into the middle zones there. And Mbappe goes on the right-hand side, crosses it, is the defender. So you can just see how, I guess, if you were to change, I guess, the combination of roles and duties, you might get a slightly better result with that. So that game finished off with us having way more chances compared to the opposition, but only 50-50 for possession, which is interesting, and nowhere near as many passes completed. So that's something to keep an eye on going into our live game we're going to play next. Okay, so going into this game, what I think we're going to do is we're going to play both halves with different tactics. The first half, we're going to play with our normal tactic, or the base Pep tactic from last season. And then in the second half, we're going to play a 3-5-2. And the reason is I want to start showing you the wide centre-backs. And there'll be a future video at some point on the channel about how best to use them, how to utilise them, that kind of stuff. But we'll just have a quick look and see how they play. I've not seen the wide centre-backs yet. The one disappointing thing you might find in this match engine, or the tactics creator rather, really, is that you can only use them in a back 3. You can't use wide centre-backs in a back 2, which I know some people were looking to do and talked about doing some of their tactics. Unfortunately, you cannot at this stage. Okay, here we go then. First game of FM22 that we're going to see here on the channel. It's going to be Manchester Derby. Free kick here. Oh, I see. Laporte scores a header. Not the most eventful of goals, but it's a set piece, incidentally. And City go 1-0 up with the set piece. I might have to put this on to comprehensive. We've not really seen much build-up play at this point. Yeah, we're going to see a bit more now. United are going to start off with the ball here. We're going to put our press on. Don't forget, our pressing's pretty high with the Pep tactic. They nearly broke through there. Ruben Diaz. And you'll see now that we won't force it as much with the current match engine the way that it is. The wingers, I mean, the wingers are holding it. Look at the width they're holding, which is great, but they're not breaking through onto that last line, are they? So you can just see with 1 or 2 tweaks how it could be so much better already. As Mbappe swings in a cross, apparently, to Bernardo Silva. That is not written in the script. So United have the ball, they're going to give it away here to us. Now Grealish gets it, plays it to Erling Haaland, who's now going to run away with it. He's probably going to check back, I would expect, at some point here. He knows he can't go all the way. Oh, okay, he's going to go all the way this time. Okay, eventually I knew he was going to turn back at some point there. A bit calamitous, that. Yeah, like, see, in those situations, the one thing I don't think it does a very good job of at the moment is when somebody presses a player, like 1v1, there's no cover for them. They're just left to go and press 1v1. And you might want to think about that when you design your tactic early on, if it stays this way anyway. It just feels like you could put yourself in a terrible situation where you're just trying to press players and getting done so much by teams that may not be much better than you, but they might have good wingers. So it's just something to be aware of, I think, is the way that the fullbacks and wide players press, because they don't really get any cover from anybody on a regular basis, and it's normally quite bad. But you could also use to your advantage as well. If that gets fixed, like, I mean, yeah, like, I mean, I suppose the centre-back went back into the box, which is okay, but you can just see how, quite often you're already seeing yourself, how often players are left 1v1 in wide areas. Playing out them for United when we're going to press them high. I mean, I don't know why nobody's McTominay. I mean, this player here could just go on to him. He's not marking anybody else or screening, really. Just get in there and mark him. Yeah, get tight to him. Just letting McTominay dictate things, that's not good, is it? They're going to ping it clear, long, and Theo is going to say thank you very much. See, the aggressiveness of the runs isn't great from the inverted winger support. I mean, Erling Haaland's done a good job there on deep line forward attack. The forward players seem more intelligent with the runs they make. They seem to apply what would be positional play we would call. If you were trying to do positional play, I think it would work a lot better on this one. Players seem to just recognise space a lot better and react to it a lot better. Bernardo Silva tries to go in behind there. The stamina was reportedly changed quite a bit for this game. I've not seen enough of it so far. The games have been, I don't know, I've not noticed it in the 2 games that we've played. I don't know whether, because I think against Leicester, maybe both teams played a similar tactic, whether that was the case, and then against Brighton it was just too one-sided. We beat them 4-0 and they got a red card. But we might see it more in this game, comparing it to the opposition and seeing how things go. But I mean, in the first half, we're really pushing hard for our press. I mean, they've got quite tired players across the board if you look at that. Really tired, in fact, compared to us. Now, that's interesting to know. I just noticed that if you look at United's players when this comes up again, you can see how a lot of them have spent energy, whereas if you look at like Ruben Diaz, Theo there, Mbappe, you've got players that are on completely green and some that have just gone from completely green into whatever this is. I don't know what to call this one. The heart system we've got these days. Whatever that is, whatever Bernardo Silva's got, we've got a few players that have just gone into that, whereas United have had players on that for a while and already going into yellow and orange. And they didn't play in the Community Shield. They might have played a game midweek, maybe, that we've missed. Playing up for the back animation, Laporte. See, now normally you just ping this, I think, which is good to see that he's not going to. There'll be times where he would just ping this, but he's going to stay on it, I hope, and plays it through to Vinicius Jr. That's definitely a positive I've noticed. They don't force it as much as they did before. The back line in particular. I think that's why you're seeing more passes completed, and that's what played Mbappe. See, just if you can get the wingers to hold the width the way they are, but then make those forward runs like in behind the back line, you're going to get a really good combination of different tactics you could use, different playing styles you could use and execute there. But it's definitely something that I'm noticing on support duty. They're not quite doing what I'd want them to do. Let's do a fire-up shot as well, just for the sake of it. As we're swinging across to Vinicius Jr. and he scores and it's 2-0. Is it offside? No. Oh, what is this? Okay, this is our first VAR decision of FM22. I'm not entirely sure what's going on. Is it going to be... He didn't look offside, did he? No, it's up. How? Tell you what, there's a first. We've just seen a VAR check on FM, on Foot Manager, and it's not been given. I was thinking at the time, I don't know why there's a VAR check, because he did look onside to me. So that's a good thing to see as well, that there's VAR, and it isn't always the way you think it's going to go. Because I think before, if we saw that on FM21, that would almost definitely have been disallowed for something. So that's good to see Sports Interactive being able to fix that. Okay, so we have United on the counter-attack here. Cavani, you can see the good animation there of him holding off the player, which is quite nice to see. That was the end of the highlight, incidentally. He was holding off the defender. It looked quite realistic, didn't it? It looked a lot better. Look at the state of their fitness. I don't know what pressing settings they've got on, which would be nice to know, because they are getting destroyed physically. And on the pitch, but physically in particular, you can see the difference. Oh, we're just going to stay on it. Don't press me, I'll stay on it. We're 2-0 up, mate. It's alright, Solskjaer, we'll take this. Go on, play it around them. Ole's are coming out around the Etihad right now. The Ole's are going around. There you go. Ole. Ole. Oh, half space run. There it is. Come on, somebody make it. No, it was there. It was there. Could have made it. Could be a chance, you know. Look at this. Could be a chance here, you know. The amount of football we played through to get... Oh, look at this. Surely, Vincinius. Oh, nearly a great goal. Okay, something to notice here for the half-time team talk. There's quite a few different ones, as you can see. But well done on controlling possession so far. That's what we want. I would normally say something like this, I think, but we're not going to be playing that way in the second half. So let's go with... great stuff so far. You've shown everyone why we're the best team in this rivalry. Keep going. Let's go with that. Oh, they loved it. Looked inspired and motivated, says for some of these players. Right then, so we're now going to switch to our 3-5-2 and play our wide centre-backs. I'm actually looking forward to this. We're not exactly like that though. Let's play some actual players there. I think for the first like 10 minutes or so here, we'll just play it on full match and see how they play. In possession, I think is what we're waiting for, to see what they do, how much they overlap and stuff. This will be interesting to see. I have no idea what the score is going to end up being. I'm not going to really react to them either. I'm just going to leave it as it is and see how the wide centre-backs do. I mean, it's set up to defend on the counter. Oh yeah, incidentally, out of possession, we're now playing with a, I think, lower defensive line and lower defensive line and lower line of engagement. So that will be interesting to see how that plays out. I think people's big annoyance with Match Engine in previous years is that it didn't really reward teams that like to play in the lower block. So we'll see how it goes. Wide centre-backs, here we go. Wide centre-back attack, wide centre-back support. They are pretty well spread out, I guess. Laporte's now going to play this. He's going to make a run forwards. He's thinking about it. Oh, he's played... No, he's giving it away. He did think about that run, didn't he, then? Which is quite funny. And Theo Hernandez goes out and presses 1v1 again. I don't like that at all. That's one thing I definitely like to see them fix already, is that. Mbappe's in. Give me 3-0 to City. Oh, what has he done there? That was absolute rubbish. Okay, now defensively in our low block, we're not going to press them. They go long anyway. Should really get to this. Yeah, Rodrigo gets to it. Grealish has it. The João Cancelo. The wide centre-back attack's going to make a run here. He's going to overlap those. He's going to get the ball. I don't know if you're going to get the Sheffield United type overlapping wide centre-backs, because he's a wide centre-back attack on that side, and he's not really making the overlapping runs, but the situation hasn't completely developed yet. Maybe if we put... Oh, he's already on support, Cancelo. I was going to say put Cancelo on support, whether that would encourage the overlap, and let's put it on actually. Let's put overlaps on. I'm just seeing what we can do if we maximise the possibility of an overlapping centre-back. We could go double wide centre-back attacks, but I want to see what the support does differently to the attack, if you see what I mean. Okay, Grealish has it. Wide centre-back attacks, making a bit... Oh, there he is. He's going quite far advanced. Yeah, I do think that if you play a back three, I can see a double wide centre-back attack tactic working pretty well already, from my point of view. Because I'm assuming if you have the two on attack, they both don't go at the same time. I'm assuming the ball side one goes and the other one balances it off a little. I think so far that's probably the best way for it to work. Again, don't forget, we are going to do a video on this at some point, going into deep detail of the wide centre-backs. We're just looking at we're just having a quick look at it and seeing how it sort of plays at a quick glance. This is all this is a quick glance at the match engine, really. Making lots of notes about things that I'm looking for specifically, and just things that pop out. Like the 1v1 defending is something that just popped out, really. The width of the wing is definitely something that I was looking for, and it definitely showed. I mean, the energy levels have been pretty good for us. I don't know what United have done differently to us. I might check that afterwards. But it seems... I like the animations of the goalkeepers now. They look a lot more realistic when they go to the ground and they save things. So United have the ball on the right-hand side. Well, our right, their left. They come across, they shoot from distance, and that is a strike from Pogba. Okay, let's go double wide centre-back attack. Let's see how that goes. I feel like that's going to work well. Let's go with that. Let's just go wing-back attacks everywhere. Here we go. They're going to play out from the back. Well, ping it from the wing-back, I suppose. Wing-back attack, what have we got? And wide centre-back attack. Yeah, you can see they don't really move, I think, the way that people were expected. They're not very aggressive the way that they run. Now he's on the ball as Ruben Diaz. Now what's he going to do? Is he going to overlap? He's gone fairly far up, I suppose. He gets it back. Continues with it. Plays it in behind. Not great. Yeah, I don't know. I was sort of expecting them, because they put the three duties in of support, defend, and attack for wide centre-back. I was expecting that on attack duty that we would see them overlap and stuff. Just to like test this, I'm going to put somebody in there that can dribble at wide centre-back. Raheem Sterling, Ferran Torres, but Ferran Torres in at right centre-back. Let's see how he does. When he's on the ball, it'll be interesting to see. I do like the build-up play. It seems a lot better in the way that it plays in the build-up. The players don't force it as often. I think that's going to please a lot more people. There's been a lot of threads over the years on how to stop your players mindlessly punting it long when it doesn't seem like it's necessary to do so. Just to test something else out, I'm just thinking here about maybe using those as wide centre-backs and then having no wing back ahead of them, it's going to probably be a risky thing to do, you would think. Let's have 2 Mazzalas to hold the width, and let's deploy something like this. Let's see how this goes. I mean, we're almost definitely going to concede an equaliser, by the way, just so we're all aware of that. Yeah, let's go with that and see what happens. Everyone else in the middle. Let's see if they go wide now, if they're really going to like occupy those wide areas. I think the quest for everybody else now is to try and correctly predict what minute they're going to score their equaliser in, because it's definitely going to happen. But let's see what happens here then. Ferran Torres to the right centre back with no wing back ahead of him. Let's see what he does. Hold it. He's giving away a free kick. So there's the 3. Look at this box in here. This is so funny. Seeing these 5 in the middle. Got 3 there. I want to see in possession, really. Are they going to really go wide and hold the width? Not really. They don't. So they're not really going to play like I think some people were hoping they'd be like Sheffield United full-backs and centre-backs are. But to be fair, he was starting to go there, but they've given away a free kick. This could be a goal for us here. A good shooting opportunity. He started to go. Yeah, I just think there's going to be a slight limitation with it, right? You've got to be, I think, a bit more reasonable with the expectations of it and when it's going to happen. I think you're going to have to really build up possession and make sure your tactic doesn't penetrate too early or dribble at the defence so they have time to get into those positions. I think that's what we're seeing here more than anything. Here we go. Laporte's going to run down the left-hand side. It's wide centre back. He's got no options ahead of him. He's actually done pretty well here, Laporte. Oh, and he's giving it away. Cancelo is mopping it up, though. Is that still him there? No, Bernardo Silva. Cancelo has it. Gundogan. Ferran Torres at right centre-back. Plays into Rodrigo. John Stones. Ferran Torres. João Cancelo. Look at this football. Until he just pings it out of play. It was good up to that point. I thought we'd finish off with the game situation being what it is, going to like a 3-5-2, which is a flat 5. And having the wide centre-backs on defend and just seeing how they play out differently from that position. Ferran Torres, the right centre-back there. Let's see what they do. Pinged it out to Theo Hernandez, who's now going to dribble with it. Probably try and win a throw-in by the looks of it. Yeah, he's playing the situation as Theo Hernandez. He's not interested at all. Yeah, and so that's an improvement, isn't it? That's probably one thing that I probably will forget in the recap if I'm not careful, is that when your players run into the wide zones, I think people have always moaned about for years about the wingers going to that wide area, wide zone, and then just whipping in across and hitting the first player, right? I'm sure you've all had that frustration at some point with the tactic. Looking the way that it's playing now, with the way those 4 players run away and they always check back, it's like they always now look to check back and link up with players if you've instructed them to do so. Highlight here is whipped in, we're going to head it away. I've just whacked it onto key highlights just in case anything else happened before the end of the game, so this could be a goal for a team here. They're going to break forward and they're going to whip an early cross. Theo Hernandez heads it away. This flat 5 isn't really working. Oh my, look at this. We're all over the place at the back. Cancelo. Oh, and he's given a penalty here. So I don't really get the animation showing a penalty there for that, to be honest, but there we are. And they're probably going to score this to make it 2-2 last minute. We're going to see a penalty here on the video. Ronaldo, yeah, of course he scores. And there we have it. And that is the first look at FM22 and the match engine in FM22. So I think to summarise it there, one of the things I think we'd like to see an improvement on early is the 1v1 defending, especially in wide areas and having no cover when that happens. I think that's something that is quite glaringly obvious to me with the way that it wasn't just the way that when we were pressing high, it was even with the 5 at the back or 3 at the back system. In possession, I think the wingers holding width is fantastic. It's working really well. I think that if you can find a good combination of them holding the width and staying on that last sort of line of defence would be better, and having them be a threat and not just like a link player. That's something that could be really good going forwards, and I can see potential with that. And I think it's just a combination of they'll tweak the map changing a little bit, and then also having a better combination of roles and duties in a tactic would be better. And I think you're going to get the right outcomes that you want with that. Wide centre backs I think can be utilised pretty well. I think it's going to take more work than people think. Slightly disappointing you can only use them in a back 3 and not a back 2. Maybe that's something to feature requests over at Sports Interactive. The animation or the transition of players when they're breaking through on goal to try and cut back and link up when I guess the game recognises they've gone so far from the team, it recognises they have to either cross, shoot or link up, and it seems like that now not doing either of those first 2 and actually linking up is now an option, which is fantastic. And I think where you're going to see this the most, maybe where people will see it more often than I did, I saw a lot of it in the centre of the pitch early on with Erling Haaland in the first 2 games. But I think in the game we watched live, you could see when it goes wide now, the players don't just go wide and cross the ball and hit the first player like they have done previously or make bad decisions. The game seems to recognise them in that area and look to link up with other players and retain the ball, which is great. And then finally, the last major positive for me is the way the team plays out from the back. They don't force it necessarily, at least with the top players. It may be different down the lower leagues, but then you'd expect that, wouldn't you? I think a little bit. With Manchester City, with Laporte at centre-back next to Ruben Diaz, they seem to be pretty good at not forcing it, which is what you would hope when they're instructed not to do so. So that's a massive positive from me. I think what this match engine will do is I think that if you've got a clear identity of what you want in your head, it's going to come out a lot more in this match engine than it has done previous. I did also think that though on the FM21 beta, which I thought was a really good starting point, and it didn't quite turn out that way. But I think this year in particular, you're going to see, I think the match engine is going to translate to you a lot better of representation of what you're trying to ask it to do. I think it's going to come out a lot more clear. It's going to look a lot more like what you've asked it to do, which I think is going to make everybody happier. The stamina, we didn't really notice too much, I don't think. We noticed that United were quite tired, and we didn't really look at why. Did they play a game? No, they didn't. They did not play a midweek game, so it was just they were that tired. The only thing I can put that down to is the fact that maybe they were trying to press us really aggressively with like maximum settings. We don't quite have ours on maximum, even with the pep tactic, and especially not in the 3-5-2, but you could see how tired that they were. And I'm hoping that was the case, because then you've seen a good representation in this video of pressing too much, and that's what the downside of it could be. But we didn't see it too much in our game ourselves, at least. I think that covers pretty much all the main points that we saw. Hopefully you're able to pick up on those as well, and hopefully you picked up on more things than I did there just in the quick video. I was trying to cover everything that I'd seen previously and some things that came up, but I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like the video, I do have my own channel, which is the Cult of Foot Manager. I'll put the link in the description. But I'm delighted to be back making videos with FMSCOUT again this year. I'm looking forward to making so many more for you. I hope you enjoyed seeing FM22 in its glory here, and you're enjoying it yourself, playing however you're playing. And if you haven't had a chance to buy it yet, hopefully this gave you a good idea of what you're going to get. I think overall I would give it a positive score, and I'd say that I'm happy with the way it looks so far, knowing it's in its early stages of development. I did also think that last year. That's the only downside I would say. I did think that last year, but again, this year they've started off really well. I think they've got themselves in a great position. I just hope they can tweak one or two things, but generally they've got, I think, a really good product there, and hopefully we can take it on into the future and just build on it. And yeah, with that being said, thank you very much for watching. Enjoy FM22, and we'll see you next time.